Hello. Today is August 13th, 2023, and we'll talk about three architects. We'll start with Charles Howard Crane. It is not a very developed presentation, but the attempt to pay homage to this less known architect is here. So let's read a little bit about him. First, this was the gentleman, a North American architect. I don't know if he studied architecture. On Wikipedia, I just read that he worked as a draftsperson in some offices and then he opened his own office. But he was very, very prolific and he built many buildings, especially in Detroit. Charles Howard Crane, as you see, born on August 13th, 1885, and died one day later, but in 1952, was an American architect who was primarily active in Detroit, Michigan. His designs include Detroit's Fox Theater and Olympia Stadium, as well as Levesque Tower in Columbus, Ohio, which remains that city's second tallest building. And we are going to see both Levesque Tower and the Fox Theater in Detroit. Born in Hartford, Connecticut, Crane moved to Detroit in 1904. He worked as a draftsman for several architectural firms, including Albert Kahn, Associates, Smith, Hinchman and Grills, and the office of Gustav Müller, before opening his own office in 1908. So he opened his office at 23, and no mention of his studies of architecture. Like Thomas Lamb and John Eberson, Crane specialized in the design of movie palaces in North America. Crane's career could include some 250 theaters in total, unbelievable, with 62 of them in the Detroit area. His 5,174-seat Detroit Fox Theater was the largest of the Fox theaters. The 4,500-seat Fox Theater in St. Louis was its slightly smaller architectural near twin. These were considered to have been his architectural masterpieces. Among the 5 massive Fox theaters, Crane also designed the Brooklyn Fox, 4,088 seats, but it was demolished. That's what the word razed means. And I mean, it's a brutal word, no? Razed. Jean Nouvel would say it's the injustice of time, and in this case, the injustice of man. Crane also designed Olympia Stadium in Detroit Olympia, which eventually had seating for 13,375 plus standing room for 3,300. So, you know, close to 20,000 people. Used by the Detroit Red Wings, was raised itself in 1987. A lot of raising, a lot of demolishing. What can you do? If the elements don't destroy a building, the human beings do the job. Crane also designed many office buildings. Most of his many downtown Detroit movie palaces had attached office towers that he designed. The Fox, United Artists, State Capitol, and so on. However, Crane's office tower masterpiece is the 47-story, 555 feet tall Levesque Tower in Columbus, Ohio, which we are going to see. Due to the 1929 Great Depression, Crane's theater and office building commissions dried up. He became disillusioned and in 1930 moved to London, England, although he kept his Detroit office open for many years after moving. Crane designed many cinemas across Britain, but in much tamer designs than his American movie palaces. Crane's most famous UK commission was Earl's Court Exhibition Centre, an art modern convention center that opened in 1937. It closed in 2014 and was demolished between 2015 and 2017. We begin now. I only show 2 major works by him, Levesque Tower and the Fox Theater in Detroit. We begin with the Levesque Tower in Columbus, Ohio, the capital of Ohio. And this is the tower, the second tallest still in the downtown Columbus. A depressing city, if you ask me, but it has a few so-called jewels. Still, his building, I think, stands out. You know, the others are more bulky and somehow more brutal. There is a little bit more grace here, and it might be that the grace derives from, you know, its historicism. Here we see another picture with Crane's Levesque Tower, and one from the air. As you can see, the buildings, you know, more recent buildings around it are much more bulky and, you know, lacking refinement and certainly lacking grace. And look at the level of details here. You know, I mean, who would do something like this today? But my question is, by not doing something like this today, do we actually gain anything? Because whatever our taste, still I would say that, you know, such statuary or sculptural works do add something to the building. Even when they are not so-called masterpieces of, you know, plastic art. But there is a richness here, a certain richness that adds to the, you know, to the power of the aesthetical power of the building. So those who contest the value of ornament should think twice, I think. I mean, yes, we are very busy to run home and lay on the sofa exhausted and watch some nonsense soap operas on TV. But, you know, the same human beings could be employed to carve some mythological or less mythical figures for some building. Which activity would be more beneficial to themselves and to society? So this is the tower. Otherwise, with a silhouette moderately modern, but at the top, it aspired towards something else. And at the bottom, but it's not a bad building. You know, it's not very adventurous, perhaps, but when you consider that Chicago also gave the first prize to the neo-Gothic building by Raymond Hood for the Chicago Tribune, you know, this was not a singular event. In fact, I'm tempted to pay some more attention to these Beaux-Arts products of North America in the process of becoming more so-called modern, or the famous Brave New World. At night, now they discovered that if they used various colors, you know, with artificial lighting, the effects on the aesthetics and the architecture of Columbus, Ohio could be, you know, important. Again, what would you have obtained if the decorations, the ornaments, the sculptural work were missing? The richness of what we look at derives from exactly these banished things or entities from modernism. So Levesque Tower in Columbus, Ohio. Charles Howard Crane, architect, and I don't know who did the, you know, the stage design, the light show, the chromatic show that we look at here. Now, the Fox Theater in Detroit is quite a work. I mean, he was influenced by, and unfortunately, I don't have here. I should have included. It's a tentative presentation, this one, and it ends after presenting the Fox Theater. I should continue investigating the works of this man. But I read that for the Fox Theater, he used inspirations from exotic lands, from Southeast Asia. So it's a building which has exotic influences. And this is the interior. The exterior, surprisingly, has almost nothing to do with what we look at the interior. But the interior is fabulous, is magic, is otherworldly almost, in its opulence and yes, there are many influences here, but I think the exoticism of faraway lands has a positive impact on it. Because after all, a movie palace, a movie theater is a place to invite to the exoticism of the movie, an escape from reality. It's about escape essentially, and the theater in its architecture is conducive to this desire to temporarily escape the prose of day-to-day life. The Fox Theater, the building though is like an office building. It doesn't announce in any way what is happening inside. I mean, yes, there are these Art Deco, signs that it is a theater, but the building itself is not, announcing a theater. But inside is very much a magical theater, and I understood even very important, not only very important shows with very important, performing arts heroes, and but also political debates between, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party take place in this famous theater in Detroit. Look, it's giant. I understood they had the biggest projector in the world at the time when it was built, and even now it's a very magical place. So historicism is not by necessity bad, because this is the place of escape par excellence, the movie Paris. And I'm sure I would have enjoyed it, although I love modern art and modern architecture and even brutalism, very much so. But look at here, in Detroit. I mean, honestly, what are we to criticize here? Because he openly is about a show. No, it's the place where shows take place, movies or theaters, or political debates, which in themselves are phantasmagoric shows quite often. I still think the exoticism of an art from far away places, that is Southeast Asia, has this effect that the exoticism brings something positive, I think, to the aesthetics of the building. Because this is not about European Renaissance or whatever, the European antiquity. So I think a possible way to bring something even new to architecture today would be to find inspiration in the exotic art of faraway lands and faraway cultures, Although perhaps I should discourage, attempts to, borrow from the position of historicism, which I always would have criticized, but maybe I'm getting old and I'm changing. I personally am not displeased with what I see here. We admire Garnier's opera in Paris, but is this bad? I mean, okay, maybe, but no, I cannot truly say that this is not also an original work. And I think it's well balanced. It's okay. He borrowed from architectonic achievements in Asia, but I think he somehow digested them. And what I look here at seems to be convincing. I don't know what you think and feel, or feel and think, but I'm not displeased with what I look at. And look here, it's the Fox movie Palace in Detroit. Of course, it is a dream, but it is supposed to be a dream because it is a movie palace. And the interior is vast. They even have, private rooms that can be rented, and I'm sure, they are expensive and all the rest. They are not for proletarians. You see here a comfortable sofa with a table, and, to watch the show in style. Charles Howard Crane. And look here, in our time, I don't think a so-called modern theater would have been better than this one. And as we read, he built about 260. It's incredible. Just around Detroit, 60 something. This man was 2 years the senior of Le Corbusier, meaning 2 years older than Le Corbusier. This man was completely unknown to me until maybe a year or two ago. While Le Corbusier has all the fame in the world. But would you say that what we look at is totally unpleasant or totally insignificant or totally unworthy? That's not what these people seem to think. And as you can see, they are our contemporaries immensely enjoying this theater. In fact, they are standing up, are they not? Applauding like crazy, like with an obvious exuberance. But this is what the theater is supposed to do. Look at this. The work of Charles Howard Crane, 100 years later. But outside, besides the bonanza show of the entrance with the Fox, the building itself is like an office building. Look at this. It doesn't look like a theater. I'm curious about this architect. I want to see more works done by him. That was it for the moment. So let's wish him happy birthday, though.